So we got a lot to talk to you. Professor Markle and I have been doing this series because a lot of people don't know, since it wasn't live, it wasn't on site rather this year. People don't realize we still did have the International Hip Hop Festival, but that it was virtual, right? This is the first time it was ever virtual. It was actually canceled last year, unfortunately. Right. So this is the first step in getting back to something in person, was to have this virtual thing. And it was actually really dope and really positive in a lot of ways. One of the ways that it was dope is that we managed to have the favorite cipher. And this year we had someone from Houston in the favorite cipher. We had somebody from Turkey, Istanbul in the favorite cipher. You get me? And as you know, the favorite cipher is something where, regardless of who's a headliner, regardless of what else is happening in the festival, it's just an opportunity where anybody could get involved. Just like the ciphers we got involved in hip hop coming up. You see dudes on the block, you get your courage up. Yep. You come spit your bars and they either tell you, yo, you whack, or shake it back to loud, or they be like, yo, what's your name? Like, and you build from there. So amazingly, we didn't get to do that, and my heart was hurting a lot that we wouldn't be able to include that. Yeah. But in a sense, we did open up a cipher to anybody. It was the festival was doing a cipher. Whoever jumped on, somebody jumped on from Turkey, somebody jumped on from all over. And they was able to pick some of those people to actually be in the actual festival this year.
That's dope.
So I got a couple questions for you, for those who are wondering why I'm telling Marvalyss, right? If he's somebody who's, ill Scott Herring, he's already somebody who knows about these things, because Marvalyss was our first ever favorite showcase champion. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So just give us, and I'll tell people a little bit about who you and your accolades, but just going right into that avenue of it, what was it like for you becoming the first favorite showcase? What did it mean before you even became it, going into it? And then what was it like after you became it?
I mean, well, first and foremost, the experience, the culture of the Trinity International Hip Hop Festival is amazing. And it's just a great atmosphere to be at. It's the culture, it's what we live, so to be able to bring that and have that so close to home, that in itself is amazing, and then to be able to be a part of the festival, and coming from here, being able to be a part of the festival and contribute, that was major in itself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, so honestly, it was like one of my best experiences in music to date, to be honest with you.
Say that.
Because see, the whole thing about it is that the cipher is my element. You know what I mean? Like, there's, obviously there's different waves and different eras, but I came from the cipher era. That's where it all started for me. So whenever that's happening, whenever that's going on, wherever that's going on, I'm going to slide right in and feel right at home. And that's what the festival does.
That's dope. That's dope. So thinking about the festival, I really like that idea about the kind of, so there's a difference between, so on the one hand, you're in the cipher element with the favorite showcase, but as a winner of the favorite showcase cipher, you get to perform the next year on the main stage. Can you talk about that transition from going in a cipher element outdoors during the day on a Saturday to Saturday night main stage, where it's like, one, you're repping for Hartford, because we only allow, we only really get one Hartford performer because we're trying to get representation from all over the place. But being able to rep Hartford on that stage, what was that like, that transition from showcase to main stage? And and what was your experience like?
Honestly, it was monumental. Like, when you're talking about the main stage and the caliber artists that the festival bring every time that they come, you get up there, it's time to still improve what you do, and you're doing it for the home team, but you're also doing it internationally, because the people from all over the world, all walks of life are there. You know what I mean? So it was monumental, honestly, just for me. It was definitely big.
Do you remember who you were sharing the stage with that year? Like, who the headliners was and everything?
I think it was MC Light, as a matter of fact.
Wow, I think you're right.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
Right. Yep.
that's dope.
Yeah.
And I think we had a contingent from Russia that was there that year
Yep.
too.
Right.
Yep.
So that was MC Light.
Yep.
That was the cats from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
That was a crazy year.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that's dope. Wow. I'm thinking, one thing, and I'm an outsider in the way that I just, I've been in Hartford for 10 years. I call it home now. But when I came to Hartford and saw the festival for the first time, I left with this, understanding that the festival is so connected to the Hartford hip hop scene.
Yeah.
Right. Like this couldn't happen in other places just because of the in certain cities and towns, hip hop isn't, like what Hartford. I try to explain to people that aren't from Hartford, like, yo, man, the hip hop scene in Hartford is on point. Like, y'all don't really understand. Can you talk a little bit about the Hartford hip hop scene and being nurtured and coming out of that, and for you as an artist, because that's really what it's all about too. Is that this is a festival that also celebrates and shows all these international artists that hip hop is going on in the city of Hartford, and they all leave the city of Hartford like, oh. I didn't, everyone thinks, New York City, right? That's the first thing they think about, right? But it's not.
Absolutely. And honestly, with the scene, with the music scene, coming from the music scene, I started very early, very young. And throughout this journey that I've been on with the music, my career, I've been able to be fortunate to be a part of a few eras, of the Hartford music scene. I'm talking about, dating back to when there was SUP and Diamond Guns and just everybody that was there, Hunt Zone, you know what I'm saying? There was a lot of people. We had our group, the Seven Angels, so it was a lot of, Tall T from the barbershop. Yeah, it's like, so I was blessed that I was able to come up under, even though I was younger than those guys, I was able to come up under those guys. And, from there, it just kind of blossomed because it just grew and grew and grew. And no, we still have room to grow and get bigger. Just being able to come through those few eras, I was fortunate, and it's a beautiful thing to see how the hip hop scene is blossoming in Connecticut, because I'm going to be totally biased and honest at the same time. Some of the best talent in the world is from right here in Connecticut. And
that's factual.
That's factual. Okay. That's factual. My man, George Springer, all right, the home run king that was doing his thing during the playoffs for the Astros. He's from here. You know what I'm saying? My man that got drafted, the cornerback for the Cowboys, I forget his name, but he's from here. You know what I mean? And just so there's a lot of talent here that's homegrown. So to see it flourishing and blossoming and people actually able to get opportunities from doing something that they're passionate and that they love, like, I'm blessed. Like I can't even complain. It's been a journey. It's always the ups and downs that come along with it, but that's anything that you do, So, with this hip hop scene, like I said, I'm proud of, where we came from and where we going and where we hopefully gonna take it.
I'm proud of you as an individual because me knowing you as an MC from the ciphers and the shows, and even rest in peace Sully's. Like there's venues that we rock that are no more now. You know what I mean? And you was in the trenches. And I would see you at a lot of these things. And you always had that balance of what it takes to really do this, to rep hip hop culture, which is to say, you might be on a block in a cypher in the parking lot. You might be on a stage at the local venue, the large venue. And then you might also be out of state. You know what I mean? You've been on tours. You work with artists, numerous artists, right? So when somebody like you who tours and puts out music regularly, prolific really, can say the festival is one of your greatest experiences, you're not saying that like you don't rock with major known hip hop artists. You know what I mean? You a brother that's rock with a lot of artists, and your pen is deadly. You know what I'm saying? In the interview, you being very humble, but your pen is known. So I think one thing about Connecticut people don't understand is it has some of the most super affluent wealth in America. like in the whole America. Some of the Forbes list top wealthiest people's here, and it has some of the most impoverished communities in America right here as well. So often when people talk about hip hop, and like we're saying, they talk about just New York or down south. What they're saying is, oh, we see this super affluent side of Connecticut. They don't realize that there's a super impoverished side, and that's where I think art forms and cultures such as hip hop are really important, because without them, what platform do lower class poor people have to talk about what they're going through, especially when everybody around them thinks where they at is the last place they have. It's almost even worse, right? Because then it's like people don't even know what y'all going through. So what I'm leading you to is one of the reasons I'm proud of you is because you always been nice with the words, nice as a live performer, putting out music, going on tour. But I remember when that year when you was the favorite, when you came back, and I was just like, oh, he's gonna kill it, he's gonna be ill. But you had some conscious joints that I wasn't even expecting you. I was like, he doesn't even need to do that. Like, you win the favorite showcase. I would love and appreciate people to speak messages that's all ages and world universal, because we got people from around the world. But you can do whatever you want. You know what I mean? It's not like and you was dropping some conscious things, and you was talking about Martin, and you was doing that. And I've been seeing, I'm a follower of you on Bandcamp, you know what I mean? So definitely shout that out later. But I've been seeing you drop this like lyrical talent blades used to cut through the mind and drop a gem in there. So when I saw that on that particular year, I was like, yo, this is so crucial. Like, this is more than just showing somebody could come through, be nice, and get themselves on stage. It's showing certain people take that opportunity and do it to give back and inspire. So can you talk about that direction? Why you literally, I could tell you put an effort to put consciousness in your music. Can you talk about why you do that and what that matters coming from this community, that people don't realize some of the poverty and some of the things we dealing with?
Well, I mean, that's absolutely it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm from that side. You know, I was born and raised in that side. You know what I mean? So with me, the reason why I feel the need to make a conscious effort to put consciousness in my music is because I feel like, all right, there's a time and place for everything, but for me, what I stand for, I feel like if I have a chance to speak, I'm gonna use that time to make it make sense, and that's what I promote in my music. And I feel like I'm the voice of the people because I'm gonna talk about things that we can relate to. You know what I mean? Yeah, I might be an MC. People might know me, but guess what? I still got to get up in the morning and put them pants on the same way you put your pants on and go to that 9 to 5 and clock in. And guess what? At that job, I'm just Marvalyss, you know? So that's my approach to life every day. You know what I mean? I'm going to greet the president with the same respect that I greet the janitor with, you know? And when it comes to the music, like I said, if I have a chance to speak, I'm going to make it make sense. You know, like I have my modes, you know, so sometimes I might get in the go mode and I want to spit some bars and just, you know, let people know that my pen's sharp, you know, it's still working, you know, but for the most part, the chances and opportunities that I have to speak to the people, because it's bigger than just me. You know, at one point in time when I was doing music and earlier in the earlier stages of my music, yeah, I was with all of the phases because that's what you've seen, that's what we're going through. But then I realized that, you know, when I would make certain songs, people would come to me and they would message me and reach out to me and say, hey, Marv, man, I just want you to know, you know, that record that you put out, the Stress or whatnot, like that really resonated with me and it helped me get through my days sometimes, you know, and that's what motivated me and fueled me even more because I always wanted to put my message out there. But just things like that are things that fuel me and motivate me more to be like, all right, well, listen, I'm just going to show you, like, listen, you can do what you love to do. I do what I love to do. This music stuff runs through my veins, but I'm just like you.
Yeah.
You know, and
for every one of those, there's probably like 10 more who haven't reached out, who felt the same way. Right. And there's that one person who sent that message, you know?
Right. Right. Absolutely. that's just where I'm at with it. You know, like if I could drop some jewelry that might help somebody, these are just things that I go through, things that I've seen my people go through, things, you know what I'm saying, things that I've witnessed. You know what I mean? It's all of that. You know, and if I can help somebody, you know, learn from my mistakes, then why not? You know what I mean? And I'm not ashamed to talk about me and my life, because at the end of the day, this is all I got. You know what I mean? Like, this is my legacy. So if I'm going to leave it, I want y'all to know when you go back and listen to what, like, yo, listen, man, the dude was really talking about something. You know what I'm saying? Right. He wasn't wasting my time.
Yeah, like for a lot of us, we do, like Professor Markle and I, we realize that a lot of people aren't getting information the way it's given, especially to Black and brown people,
right.
Because the whole attitude this information is given, it might be correct data and factual, but it's given from a condescending perspective. And especially with young people, they're trying to absorb emotions and information at the same time. Right. Where sometimes when you put that in some of your bars, and somebody's coming through with the soul and the rhythm and the charisma, it's like, oh, this is making me think about this thing I'm studying in school a little bit different. Like, it's giving me empowerment. It's giving me ownership that this math, this history, this is for me too. If I'm always hearing it from a perspective of like, oh, you're lucky to learn this, as opposed to someone telling me this is your history, this is your power. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I wanted to ask a question about what's up with, what are you doing now creatively? What do you got anything on the docket of what's up next? Can you just kind of share with us where you're at with the with your art?
Well, currently right now, I have an album out that's called Where the Sidewalk Ends. I released it July 22nd, 2020. It's still out right now, circulating. I'm currently in the mode to put together an album with great underground producer. His name is Big Ghost. We're working on the whole project together. I have another project called Late Nights, Early Mornings 2. Another project called Autonomous with different parts of the world. Like, I'm working with a producer in Cameroon, Africa, who's going to produce the Autonomous album. And honestly, just grinding a whole bunch of stuff. June 5th, there's a CT Hip Hop outdoor festival coming up. I'm going to be rocking that. And just a few of the things that I got lined up for the summer, since we starting to open back up a little bit, which is a great thing, because obviously, the last year and some change has really been.
Yo, yeah, and that's another question, you bringing that up, man, about strategies that you used during the pandemic as an artist. Did you find that being the pandemic was a creative fuel, or did you find yourself stagnate, just kind of like feeling lost or not feeling creative? Was it either or? Could you talk about being under the pandemic as an artist and what that did for you?
Oh, for sure. It gave me more time to be creative, because guess what? I had more time to slow down, and that was the major thing. Once I was able to slow down and like nothing's really moving, so I was able to release an album, and people were standing still, so I could get their attention a little bit more for a minute, and that, just to be able to try to capitalize off of being able to have their attention, because nobody's doing anything, so yeah, the pandemic, definitely gave me an opportunity to kind of reset, reorganize, strategize, and then, keep pushing forward. And all the while creatively, I'm still networking and connecting with different producers all over the world. So it was that also helped the creativity, because there's nothing like a email with a brand new record in it, nothing like it.
That's great. I hope a lot of people listen to that. It's like going back into the lab. This was like the perfect opportunity. You talked a little bit about sharpening your skills. This was kind of like what happened, is a sharpening of the skills, you know what I mean? And going back into the lab and having that time. But I like that idea of time slowed down, right, during the pandemic. Yeah. We in America are moving constantly fast. So all of a sudden for artists, I imagine this was an opportunity to really get into like, okay, let me focus on this album, finishing it up, because we're always multitasking. Suffice, you wanna say a few words on that?
I dovetail on that. A lot of times our culture tells us to go fast and get nowhere, and there's a lot of what I call incentivized dysfunction. For us not really going back in America and dealing with our original sins and dealing with the way that we exploit each other, because we're supposed to be so greater than everyone else. We in this culture of keeping busy, so we never have to address these things. And we seen in the past week, an officer was actually convicted for murdering a Black person, and other officers participated in standing up and saying, you murdered this person, So we're actually getting to a point where we're finding out, we don't always have to rush past things because they're not going to get solved. Sometimes if you slow down, you will actually take a step forward. And Professor Markle and I interviewed Abiodun Ayewele from the Last Poets, one of the original, you could say, prototypes for the MC, right? And Abiodun's talked about when he was locked up, and he said, I told people there's something that y'all have here that a lot of people don't have, which is time. And that's what you just said, my brother. You said, the pandemic didn't give you this, you were humble about it, but the way you looked at it was, I have time. A lot of people is going to look at this as, I'm losing time or I'm missing out. You made that decision. I think that was a conscious choice you made. You said, I have time to move this thing forward that usually I wouldn't, because I'd be busy with these other things. So salute to you. Salute to being the first to find a way to become the headliner at the International Hip Hop Festival, without getting booked, without having a professional agent, but just by showing up, being like, this is in my community. I'm going to show up. I'm going to get in this cypher. I'm going to do what I do. And one thing led to another, So I couldn't imagine someone representing being the first inaugural Favorites MC. And I'm glad it's you. And I'm glad you was able to be on this interview with us today, my G.
Yeah, we really appreciate you. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about Hartford and the Hartford hip hop scene, being involved with the festival. You got any last words, last shout outs you wanna convey to the people, to our listeners?
Hey, I just want to say thank you, fellas, very much for having me. Like I said, it was monumental. It was a blessing. Everybody out here in the hip hop scene that's doing their thing, keep pushing forward, get your business right, keep doing what you got to do. There's nothing but success ahead of you if you do it the right way. And like I said, again, just thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Yeah, so that was Marvalyss, Hartford Hip Hop MC, first winner of the Favorite Showcase in Cypher, headliner of the festival, headlined by with MC Light and others. I don't know what number that is because I got them all confused, but I think that was number 11. No, it was 10. 10 was Cool Herc. 10 was Cool Herc. I think it's about 13, 14. Yeah, something like that. But we really appreciate that. Thank you so much. This was Living Hip Hop, Conversations about Hip Hop Education, episode 3. Our guests, Marvalyss. Before that, Trinity Temple student organist, Adiana, Odom. We're going to be back next week with 2 more guests. The organizer, community partner, organizer of Trinity Till Infinity Dance Battle Showcase, Machine Gun Pop-Tart, as well as one of the featured participants who gave what was one of the best events of the festival.
And heavily attended.
Filmmaker, Bravado, filmmaker, Boca Floja. So check that out next week, May 12th. Thank you all for coming. Living Hip Hop, Conversations on Hip Hop Education. I'm your host, Professor Seth Markle. And
I'm your co-host, Khaiim the Rapoet.
Yeah, and we'll check y'all out on next Wednesday.
Hip Hop is living.